We're back now at 10 after 8 with the New Jersey father's long-running battle to win back his son. On Thursday, David Goldman went to Capitol Hill to lobby for legislation that would require more U.S. help to resolve international custody cases. We'll talk exclusively with him in just a couple of minutes. But first, here's NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
And she deserved to be protected.
Having traveled thousands of miles to get his son Sean back from Brazil, David Goldman is now fighting for his rights closer to home, in the nation's capital.
We are in a crisis with our children, our American children, being taken abroad and not being returned.
His cause, parents' rights in international child custody cases like his. The proposed legislation to punish countries that violate an international treaty on custody rights and create an ambassador at large for international child abductions.
No one can really know what it's like to walk in the shoes of a parent who's had their child abducted.
Goldman's struggle began 5 years ago when his wife took their son to her family home in Brazil for a holiday. She then divorced David, married a Brazilian, got pregnant, and died during childbirth. Her Brazilian husband, a lawyer, and his politically connected family has been fighting David ever since.
Come home. Let him come home.
There have been endless legal motions and appeals. In June, there was a decision in David's favor, but the Brazilian family appealed, putting the reunion on hold. Last month, Sean, now 9, appeared in a video prepared for the Brazilian family, saying repeatedly he wants to stay in Brazil. Coached, David says, by the Brazilian husband and his family. New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith has been helping David.
Some 9-year-old does not come up with the idea of doing a 40-minute video repeating over and over again how he wants to stay in Brazil. It has all the earmarks and markings of a hostage situation.
Just another detour on a path David still hopes will lead to his being reunited with his son. For today, Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Washington.
And David Goldman and his attorney, Patricia Appy, are with us exclusively. David and Patricia, nice to see you again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you make yourself feel better yesterday by going to Congress and going to Washington, or you think you accomplished something?
I think we accomplished something.
Yeah, you got in front of the right people?
Well, we did, and we had an opportunity to talk about this legislation, which is so important, to remind everyone in the middle of the huge partisan fights that are going on that this is a bipartisan issue that everyone can get behind and will affect countless American children around the world.
And you weren't just talking about your particular case. You're really talking about so many other cases out there. I just want to see if I can bring everybody up to date here, because while you live the minutia of this, it's a little confusing for us. The last time we all talked, the Brazilian courts had ruled that you could have 6 days a week of custody of Sean, but that you could only do it if you were in Brazil for those 6 days.
Go live in Brazil.
Exactly. Right. You said that clearly was not acceptable, and then the Brazilian family appealed that, correct?
Right.
So where does it stand right now?
Well, it's exactly that. It's in an appeal, and it'll be in the second level federal court, which is a tribunal of 3 judges, to rule on the final decision if they're going to uphold the first order that returns my son or accept their appeal. And
do you have some kind of timetable for that? Have they given you a timetable? Because this just drags on and on.
Well, understand, there have been 19 motions that have been filed since the return order was entered.
Since the return order of Sean, this family has filed 19 habeas corpus, everything under the sun, hoping
do you think
delays.
They're hoping that you just simply give up and go away?
I would think by now they know that's never going to happen, ever. So I don't know what their goal is now, but just to keep it from probably a final order, because they know they must.
There is another
Sean.
development in the case, and actually this one was stopped by you. Sean was interviewed by CNN.
Correct.
And when you got wind of that, before that interview aired, you said, wait a minute, that will not air. I believe Brazilian courts and New Jersey courts have said he should not be interviewed. So where does that stand now? Does that tape ever have a chance of seeing the light of day?
Well, CNN and their counsel are still reviewing the legal issues, and we gave them the opportunity to have the full file and to look at those issues. They chose not to show the tape this week, which we were delighted with, because what it does is it emboldens whenever the tape of Sean are shown, it emboldens the family to continue to ask him this question, which psychologists have said is harmful in and of itself, just asking the question. Now imagine he's on camera, imagine there are other pressures. Children already feel pressure in divorce cases. Imagine this sort of pressure on his child.
I just have a couple of seconds left. Do you continue, you have a very brave face about all this, do you continue to have the confidence, given the fact that everyone and up to the Secretary of State and President are talking about this, that you'll prevail here?
Well, I hope the Secretary of State and the President continues to push for progress in this case. I really do. I mean, he was in my backyard yesterday campaigning for our governor. But I do hope, and I mean, this is a case of right and wrong, and it's unequivocal that my son needs to be home.
Well,
and
again,
that's justice, and that's truth, and that's human rights.
We will continue to follow it. David, good luck, and Patricia, thank you very much. Good to have you both here again.
Thanks, Matt.
Pleasure.